40 Surah Ghafir. And thus has the word of your Lord come into effect upon those who disbelieve that they are companions of the fire. Those, angels, who carry the throne and those around it exalt Allah, with praise of their Lord and believe in Him and ask forgiveness for those who have believed, saying, Our Lord, you have encompassed all things in mercy and knowledge. So forgive those who have repented and followed your way and protect them from the punishment of hellfire. And O my people, how is it that I invite you to salvation while you invite me to the fire? You invite me to disbelieve in Allah and associate with Him that of which I have no knowledge. And I invite you to the exalted in might, the perpetual forgiver. Assuredly, that to which you invite me has no response to a supplication in this world or in the hereafter, and indeed, our return is to Allah, and indeed, the transgressors will be companions of the fire. The fire. They are exposed to it morning and evening. And the day the hour appears, it will be said, Make the people of Pharaoh enter the severest punishment. And, mention, when they will argue within the fire, and the weak will say to those who had been arrogant, Indeed, we were, only, your followers, so will you relieve us of a share of the fire? Those who had been arrogant will say, Indeed, all of us are in it. Indeed, Allah has judged between the servants. And those in the fire will say to the keepers of hell, Supplicate your Lord to lighten for us a day from the punishment. They will say, Did there not come to you your messengers with clear proofs? They will say, Yes. They will reply, Then supplicate yourselves, but the supplication of the disbelievers is not except in error. And your Lord says, Call upon me, I will respond to you. Indeed, those who disdain my worship will enter hell, rendered contemptible. When the shackles are around their necks and the chains, they will be dragged in boiling water, then in the fire they will be filled with flame. Enter the gates of hell to abide eternally therein, and wretched is the residence of the arrogant. 41 Surah Fussilat. And, mention, O Muhammad, the day when the enemies of Allah will be gathered to the fire while they are driven, assembled in rows, so, even, if they are patient. The fire is a residence for them, and if they ask to appease Allah, they will not be of those who are allowed to appease. That is the recompense of the enemies of Allah, the fire. For them therein is the home of eternity as recompense for what they, of our verses, were rejecting. Indeed, those who inject deviation into our verses are not concealed from us. So, is he who is cast into the fire better or he who comes secure on the day of resurrection? Do whatever you will, indeed, he is seeing of what you do. 42 Surah Ash-Shura. And thus we have revealed to you an Arabic Quran that you may warn the mother of cities, Makkah, and those around it and warn of the day of assembly, about which there is no doubt. A party will be in paradise and a party in the blaze. 43 Surah Az-Zukhruf. Indeed, the criminals will be in the punishment of hell, abiding eternally. 44 Surah Ad-Dukhan. Indeed, the tree of Zaqqum is food for the sinful. Like murky oil, it boils within bellies. Like the boiling of scalding water. It will be commanded. Seize him and drag him into the midst of the hellfire, then pour over his head from the torment of scalding water. It will be said, Taste. Indeed, you are the honored, the noble. Indeed, this is what you use to dispute. They will not taste death therein except the first death. And he will have protected them from the punishment of hellfire. 45 Surah Al-Jathiyah. Before them is hell, and what they had earned will not avail them at all nor what they had taken besides Allah as allies. And they will have a great punishment. And it will be said, Today we will forget you as you forgot the meeting of this day of yours, and your refuge is the fire, and for you there are no helpers. 46 Surah Al-Aqaf. And the day those who disbelieved are exposed to the fire, it will be said, You exhausted your pleasures during your worldly life and enjoyed them, so this day you will be awarded the punishment of extreme humiliation because you were arrogant upon the earth without right and because you were defiantly disobedient. And the day those who disbelieved are exposed to the fire, it will be said, is this not the truth? They will say, yes, by our Lord. He will say, then taste the punishment because you used to disbelieve. 51 Surah Adh Dariyat. They ask, when is the day of recompense? It is, the day they will be tormented over the fire. 18 Surah Al-Kahf. And say, the truth is from your Lord, so whoever wills, let him believe, and whoever wills, let him disbelieve. Indeed, we have prepared for the wrongdoers a fire whose walls will surround them. And if they call for relief, they will be relieved with water like murky oil, which scalds their faces. Wretched is the drink, and evil is the resting place. And the criminals will see the fire and will be certain that they are to fall therein. And they will not find from it a way elsewhere. And we will leave them that day surging over each other, and, then, the horn will be blown, and we will assemble them in one assembly. And we will present hell that day to the disbelievers, on display. Those whose eyes had been within a cover, removed, from my remembrance, and they were not able to hear. Then do those who disbelieve think that they can take my servants instead of me as allies? Indeed, we have prepared hell for the disbelievers as a lodging. Those are the ones who disbelieve in the verses of their Lord and in their meeting him, so their deeds have become worthless, and we will not assign to them on the day of resurrection any importance. That is their recompense, hell, for what they denied and, because, they took my signs and my messengers in ridicule. 16 Surah An-Nahl. So enter the gates of hell to abide eternally therein, and how wretched is the residence of the arrogant. And they attribute to Allah that which they dislike, and their tongues assert the lie that they will have the best from him. Assuredly, they will have the fire, and they will be, therein, neglected. 71 Surah Nuh. Because of their sins they were drowned and put into the fire. And they found not for themselves besides Allah, any helpers. 14 Surah Ibrahim. And they requested victory from Allah, and disappointed, therefore, was every obstinate tyrant. Before him is hell, and he will be given a drink of purulent water. He will gulp it but will hardly be able to swallow it. And death will come to him from everywhere, but he is not to die. And before him is a massive punishment. Have you not considered those who exchanged the favor of Allah for disbelief and settled their people in the home of ruin? It is hell, which they will enter to, burn, and wretched is the settlement. And they have attributed to Allah equals to mislead people from his way. Say, enjoy yourselves, for indeed, your destination is the fire. And you will see the criminals that day bound together in shackles. Their garments of liquid pitch and their faces covered by the fire. 21 Surah Al-Anbiya. And whoever of them should say, indeed, I am a God besides him, that one we would recompense with hell. Thus do we recompense the wrongdoers. If those who disbelieved but knew the time when they will not avert the fire from their faces or from their backs and they will not be aided. Indeed, you disbelievers, and what you worship other than Allah are the firewood of hell. You will be coming to enter it. Had these false deities been actual gods, they would not have come to it, but all are eternal therein. For them therein is heavy sighing, and they therein will not hear. Indeed, those for whom the best reward has preceded from us, they are from it far removed. They will not hear its sound, while they are, in that which their souls desire, abiding eternally. 23 Surah Al-Mu'minun. But those whose scales are light, those are the ones who have lost their souls, being, in hell, abiding eternally. The fire will sear their faces. And they therein will have taut smiles. It will be said, were not my verses recited to you and you used to deny them? They will say, our Lord, our wretchedness overcame us, and we were a people astray. Our Lord, remove us from it, and if we were to return, to evil. We would indeed be wrongdoers. He will say, remain despised therein and do not speak to me. 32 Surah As-Sajda. And if we had willed, we could have given every soul its guidance. But the word from me will come into effect, that, I will surely fill hell with jinn and people altogether. But as for those who defiantly disobeyed, their refuge is the fire. Every time they wish to emerge from it, they will be returned to it while it is said to them, taste the punishment of the fire which you used to deny. 52 Surah At-Tur. Then woe, that day, to the deniers, who are in empty discourse amusing themselves. The day they are thrust toward the fire of hell with a violent thrust, its angels will say, this is the fire which you used to deny. Then is this magic, or do you not see? Enter to, burn therein, then be patient or impatient, it is all the same for you. You are only being recompensed, for what you used to do. Indeed, the righteous will be in gardens and pleasure, enjoying what their Lord has given them, and their Lord protected them from the punishment of hellfire. So Allah conferred favor upon us and protected us from the punishment of the scorching fire.